Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak is Capcom's newest release onto the Nintendo Switch, but this massive expansion can also be found on PC via Steam. Taking most of the criticisms from Rise to heart, Capcom is not only looking to make amends with some of the players who had major criticisms of Rise, but also adding things no one was expecting to make it their way into the franchise. What we get as an end result is a much bigger game, a more polished experience, and simply put, a fun time to be had for new and old players alike. This being an expansion, we can't realistically expect there to be double the original release's monster totals or even maps. But what Capcom has opted to do is provide just enough new areas, 2 in total, with the addition of several actual new monsters and some subspecies and variants to pepper in more than enough new to this revised package. The promise of free title updates that will add even more arenas and of course new and old popular monsters is also being touted as a major selling point. Whether it all delivers as promised is another story, but for the here and now, what we have on Sunbreak is more than enough. This all starts with the fact that the game actually includes the full story this time around. This was a major criticism for base Rise, and Sunbreak does not falter in that regard. You the Hunter are sent out to explore a new frontier known as El Gato, which has come under siege by a malevolent creature known as Malzeno. It, along some really nasty critters known as Curio, have begun to throw a wrench into the environment, and several monsters have begun to become more violent. You're asked to work together with the Royal Knights of the Kingdom to put an end to this menace and save the kingdom and Komura village once again in the process. It's not a rather deep story, but is properly voice acted, well presented during cutscenes, and good enough reason to go hunting new monsters. Exploration in Sunbreak has also taken a step forward, where in El Gato is a rather small tiny hub when even compared to Komura village. The new maps, however, you see are anything but that. The jungle is a rather expansive and colorful in nature, while the citadel is a run-down ruin with a rather dreary atmosphere and plenty of secrets to find. This is easily one of the most ambitious maps we have seen in Monster Hunter Rise. Thankfully, the new monster additions match the tone as well. Luna Garen is a wolf-like creature that has multiple stages during his encounter. Malzeno, the new flagship, is truly a menacing foe with plenty of devastating attacks and a new affliction, and while I won't get into the details here, the new final boss is surely something else. Progression is something we often take for granted. Pick up a quest, go out on a hunt, kill a monster, grab some parts, return to town, rinse and repeat. And while the core hasn't necessarily truly changed, the flavoring around each one of the quest progressions and quest types has blossomed into something wonderful with the introduction of follower quest. Essentially replacing the rampage altogether, you can now have characters from the story of both Sunbreak and Rise accompany you out on a hunt. Each will have a wide variety of new weapons available to them and accompanying playing types, making them stand out even more. Some will focus on support, while others will support on offense, and others will be even tanking. It's a really nice touch. All of this is just for the single player, so those who choose to simply avoid playing with others online now have more than enough help without needing an internet connection. G-Rank, or as is better now known as Master Rank, is also offered in this expansion as has come to be expected, and it adds a new layer of difficulty to the whole package. Some monsters have received new moves, and the inclusion of afflicted monsters is a game changer. This is where the aforementioned Curio now infect just any normal monster, not just Malzeno, boosting their powers exponentially and making it possible to hunt them even for rarer rewards, but it also makes them much more menacing. It's an endgame that feels satisfying while also being painful until you sort out your armor issues. You can also expect a wide variety of new armors, new weapons, new accessories, and tons of reasons to keep coming back. Not only that, but a wide variety of new weapon balance changes have also been included with the release of Sunbreak. Whether you think they're worthwhile or not really depends on the weapon you choose to use. Another set of additions come in the quality of life types, where simple things like wall running is now done automatically whenever you're near a wall. Things like more spawn beacons are now available whenever you're out in the field. Both Palicos and Palamutes can now have both of their skills and moves changed entirely, so you don't have to rely on the RNG to find the best Palico. That is to say, the list is rather massive and they're all great additions that make this a polished entry. Not all of the additions fare all that well though. One of the most touted features was the Switch skill swap, where you can switch your skills out in the field at any given time, which works exactly as described, and it would be a magnificent feature if it wasn't for the fact that not all weapons are Silkbind dependent. So while you may find a great use for the Switch skill swap for, let's say, a great sword or longsword, others like gunners or instant glaive users will find very little benefit from constantly switching their skills out in a specific hunt. Other issues that have not been addressed are connecting issues when it comes to the PC version of the game. These are the same issues that I had with Monster Hunter Rise are now prevalent in Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, spending 5 to 10 minutes cycling through the same search quest screen trying to find a lobby to join. This is with the emergency quest on a day 1 experience, mind you, so I can't imagine how bad it's gonna get a few months down the road when basically the player base begins to dwindle. This was the main reason why I chose to play on the Nintendo Switch and not on PC. You of course can get around this issue if you have a group of friends to play with constantly, but not everyone can consistently rely on that. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak seems to have been designed with the mentality of checking off all of the things people didn't necessarily like about Monster Hunter Rise, and mending those problems, providing real difficulty encounters, giving armor some meaningful skills, letting your Palicos and your Palamutes you found learn new skills, make some weapons available and viable, let quest progression feel more than a chore. These were all addressed, but it feels like there could have been more. This means of course the inclusion of more monsters, specifically some fan favorite ones that weren't as big as Gore Magala, which could have gone a long way. Of course, we're talking about Lagiacrus, but that will most likely have to wait for Monster Hunter World 2. It's not often that I find myself thinking about all of the things that I want to do the next time I boot up a game I literally just finished playing. Sunbreak has that in spades. New players to the Rise experience who simply chose to skip the original release now have more than enough of a reason to experience all of that and the plethora of content packed into Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. But also those who took some time off after the event quest ended in Rise can now come confidently back and enjoy everything Sunbreak has to offer, knowing we have a full year of more content in the works. I would also like to quickly point out that a review code was provided to me by Capcom on launch day, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. But I also had already purchased the collector's edition for the Nintendo Switch, and of course I also picked up the Steam version as well. Nintendo Sphere gives Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak on the Nintendo Switch an 8.5 out of 10. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya!